That land was preordained for his purpose. And it didn't matter whether I was going to be obedient or not. I didn't even know I was being obedient. I just wanted to buy land. Okay, I had no idea. But he had it set aside for this purpose. And his plan is going to go on regardless of whether we're obedient. He'll just bring somebody else that is.
This is the Untamed Podcast, where only the few dare to go. We're building a community of adventurous high achievers who refuse to trade our dreams for comfortable mediocrity so that we can unleash our untamed potential. Could you be one of the untamed few? Now, your untamed hosts, Mark Lucas and Joel Fritz.
All right, untamed few, you are lucky if you're watching this, because I have got a guy here that I've gotten to be around for the last 3-4 years, I think, named Billy Dunlap. Now, I'm just going to tell you real quick why I think Billy Dunlap is interesting, and I'm going to use a story to do it. I met Billy at a school because we were thinking about helping out with a nonprofit together, right? And we were invited by a guy named Kevin, and you'll see a podcast with Kevin sometime coming up. But Kevin called us together and went to a school because we were thinking about forming up a board to do a Christian school in Huntsville, Alabama. So I met this guy, Billy, and during the conversation as we were getting to know each other, Billy was talking about his camp, and Billy was cooking at his camp and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, hey, how cool. He's got a camp, in Huntsville, Alabama. And I'm picturing the woods, and I'm picturing kind of like I'm sorry, Billy, but like a rinky-dink camp, I didn't know what it looked like. And then I went out to see Billy's camp, right? Which is a vision that the Lord put on his heart. And we're going to spend some time talking about it. But this is not a rinky-dink camp. It's the Vision Camp down in South Huntsville. And when I got up to it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a lodge in California. It's incredible. I mean, you've got a bear when you walk in the front door, don't you? Right.
Well, it's actually a buffalo.
A buffalo?
That's close though, Joel, close.
I remember some big furry animal, right? And so, but this is the guy. He is full of surprises. You're going to sit here and you're going to listen to him and you're going to go, who is this Huntsville born and bred guy from, like North Alabama? And then he is full of surprises. He has been a successful businessman for many years. He owns so many rental properties because he just it's like the Lord puts something in his path and he does something good with it. But why he is here today is because he seeks God first, and he wants Jesus Christ to infuse everything that he does. And some of the stories that are going to come out are going to revolve around the way that Billy is faithful with the things that the Lord entrusts him with, and what the Lord chooses to do through his hands and use him, kind of insert him into his plan, is just amazing. So Billy, I'm so excited to be here with you right now.
Well, I appreciate you, Joel, and I appreciate our friendship over the last 4 years. And it was interesting the way we met, but there's so much to that friendship, and so much has happened in those 4 years with us, from, having a business together ourselves to being involved in a nonprofit and spending 2 weeks in the Holy Land together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So those are just very memorable times. Whenever you get to be with someone out of the country, there's a special bond that occurs. And so I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Well, thanks, Billy. Well, I'm excited about this. So, if you don't mind, I just want to go back to the beginning a little bit. And, so you own a construction company called Dunlap Construction.
Dunlap
correct?
Contracting. That's right.
Contracting. You got it. And so, but that came out of you did construction early on in Huntsville, and you started building homes, if I understand correctly. And so why don't you just kind of tell us how you got into business in general in Huntsville here?
I will. I think some of it's just a DNA thing. Born and raised here. So was my wife. So she's born in North Huntsville, me in South Huntsville. Not many natives in their 60s, but we are. And my granddaddy was a builder in Birmingham. Worked and built in a lot of different subdivisions there. And then my dad was a builder here. And so I'm a third generation builder. And so it's kind of in my blood. I wasted a year in college before I realized.
Wasted a year, love it.
Well, before I realized that I was not where I needed to be, and not a good student, didn't test well, couldn't comprehend, was really just a nervous wreck about what am I going to do with my life. Came home and went to work for a contractor for a summer, realized that I loved working with my hands. And it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I got up the nerve to tell my dad, I don't want to go back to Jacksonville State in the fall. I've spent a year there, and it really hadn't been a good experience. He knew I was coming home every weekend. And I thought he'd say, son, you're going to finish your education. But he didn't. He said, if that's what you want to do, then pursue it. And it was like the weight of the world was lifted off of me, because that meant no more school for the rest of my life. And I can do what I want. And so I stayed and kept working for this contractor. Yeah. And he let me do crazy things that you would never hear of today. I mean, he would leave me alone. He would tell me to do that and not really show me how. And so like on Montesano Mountain, he had me setting dynamite charges as a 20-year-old kid, and he wasn't even there. And of course you can't do that anymore. Right. But I would, drill in, set charges, and then stack inner tubes on top of this thing, put a backhoe over it, walk off 100 yards and hook 2 wires to a battery in a dump truck and watch it blow up. I mean, what kid at 20 doesn't get excited about that? So, I mean, I learned so much with him over a 3-year period, and finally just said, I'm just going to go off on my own. And I started doing whatever. Yeah. So I don't have any formal building education. Yeah. I learned everything, through the School of Hard Knocks. Yeah. But that was good schooling for me. Yeah. And, eventually got my contractor's license in 1980. Mm-hmm. And so, I've been licensed and insured and doing business in Huntsville ever since. And we don't do any more residential work. It's all commercial now. Yeah. Commercial work. So
and you've gotten to do some cool stuff recently. I mean, you're doing soccer fields. You built for a ministry down in Decatur, right? Yes. I mean, you just get to do some really fun stuff with some amazing people.
Well, God's blessed us, and He keeps putting better and better work in front of us. It's amazing, and new and different challenges. Yeah. And we're grateful for that, and I give Him all the credit for that. And
well, I'd love to hear a story, if you got one, in that kind of growing period. You're like, I'm gonna be a business owner. I've blown rocks apart with dynamite. How hard can business be, right? Like, you got any stories about getting started up in business, whether it be with your marriage, the difficulties there, or just some difficulties that you had to overcome?
Yeah. So I was very motivated, and when I got my general contractor's license, I just kept going after more and more work. And my focus was my work. Yeah. And I was married in 79, divorced in 80. By 88, I was divorced. So 9 years, my 2 girls by my first wife. And so I was more interested in my work than anything else. Mm-hmm. I wasn't negligent, but I didn't put my family first. I put my work first, and it's all I thought about, and work. And it cost me my marriage. To this day, my girls, they both now work for me, and they loved me all through that period, because, when you divorce, there's this split custody kind of thing that's difficult. And 7 years later, I remarried, and this year I will be married 30 years to my wife now, Sonia.
She's wonderful. She's a gem.
But I can just say that through all that, God has forgiven me, and I've been able to move on. He hasn't taken away the pain. Mm-hmm. And there's not a day that goes by I don't think about, that decision I made to not stick with my marriage, and what it cost. Yeah. And it still costs. Yeah. And so, but He's blessed me in spite of that. And I've gotten past it, but it just was a hard time. Yeah. And it hasn't taken away my motivation, but it has reconnected me with the importance of family. Yeah. And I love my family, I love my extended family, my grandkids. Yeah. So I'd say God can get us through anything, even through difficult seasons. And He's done that, and He's brought me to the other side and blessed me. And I'm just grateful and thankful.
Yeah. Well, since that's such a common thing for either a business owner or a career-driven person, what would your recommendation be, or what advice would you give to somebody who's got their head down, because they know that's what it takes. That's what it takes to succeed. If you want to see a business thrive, or you want to advance in your career and truly do well, then you got to have your head down. But But what advice would you give them then when they get so focused like that and they can't see that the things that maybe they're losing during that period?
I think first, I feel like when I look back on myself, I just feel like I was extremely immature. And I look at other people that were at my age at that time, and I just feel like they're further along in their level of maturity. But first is your wife. I mean, if you're married, first, it needs to be, cultivating that relationship and recognizing that it takes 100% on both sides for it to work. And then secondly are my children. If there's children, the importance of them. So I think it's putting things in the right order. And I just didn't have them in the right order. And so, your wife, first, of course, your relationship with Jesus Christ through your local church, being involved in your local church, and of course your family and your children, all of those things. And I think if those are in line or in place, the other will take care of itself. God will bless, and you can be successful in your business and still try to burn the candle at both ends. I mean, I just had a strong level, a heavy level of, and I still have that, of just motivation. I'm one of those guys who wakes up at 3 a.m. with ideas. And once the ideas start, I can't go back to sleep. And so I still fight that because I still like new and exciting and different things, different challenges. So hopefully that kind of answers that. And if I'm giving young people advice, just put the Lord first. Recognize the importance of your family and your children, and make it work. Make it work.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear because I think it's so important. You get to look back and reflect on decades, right? And oftentimes, I mean, in the last couple of decades myself, I guess I'd say what I'm about to say rings true. And that's that you can't fully understand, what your choices are doing until you can look back and see them. I'm going to butcher a quote here by Kierkegaard. It goes something like that. It says, life is learned by looking backward, but it has to be lived looking forward. And so these things that you're saying and the experiences that you're communicating are so important because you get to look backward over all of this. You get to, you can reconcile mistakes made, but success earned.
Yes.
Right. And that's what makes it so valuable, to even hear you say that. What do you pay attention to? Because it is possible. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't think it's possible. They don't. You have to choose. You can't choose Jesus and business. You can't choose business and having a successful marriage. But it's just not true, is it?
It isn't. And then for me now, I'll be 68 next month. So I think it's something that resonates is, how do you finish well? What does finishing well look like? And every day I have to get up and wonder, what is important today? Because there's more in this day than I can do, than I can accomplish. So where am I going to put my time and effort, and what is important? And I think I have to, when my feet hit the floor, I have to immediately think about, okay, Lord, I'm going to step out of the flesh today again. I'm going to take my morning walk, and I'm going to ask you to show me what are the high spots? Where does my focus needs to be? And then get out of the way of others.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, let me turn the story toward this interesting vision that the Lord gave you, because if I understand everything correctly, you just continue to work your construction company, and you said you're doing residential, and then you migrated into commercial, and you're getting to do some pretty special stuff. And then you did that for a few decades, right?
Yes.
And you experienced a higher level of success as the years went on. And then I think you did some other stuff. Started accumulating some rental properties in Huntsville, right? At some point you bought a hotel and you used it. But there was this moment where the Lord gave you a vision. I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but he gave you a vision. I want to hear the story, and I'd like for you to share the story if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'd love to. I have an uncle that is my dad's brother, who was a pastor in Norfolk, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And growing up, we would go visit him, and he would always tell us about his camp in Chesapeake, Virginia, called Triple R Ranch, and still active dude ranch type camp today.
Wow, yeah.
That he founded when I was growing up. And so I got to hear his stories. I actually got to go to camp there. My children went to camp there. And so camp was in our blood a little bit. Yeah. And then I was at Farley Community Church, where I went to church for 20 years. I was working in the nursery one Sunday evening, and some of the parents came into the nursery to pick up their kid and was telling me about this property out off of Hobbs Island Road. And I was at that place in my life where it's like, I need to own some land. I need land, you know. So we went out and looked at it, and I mean, literally, you could not step off the road onto this property. It was so thick with just briars and but I got in there and found the old sign, an old 4x8 sign, and got the number off of it and called these guys. It was 5 old men that owned it, that had bought it for hunting property. Yeah. And they were getting older. They were probably about my age then, which was back in 2004. And we realized they needed to settle their estates. We need to sell this property. And 2 of the 3 had already passed away.
Okay.
So the 3 that were left took me on a walk one day. All day long, we walked that property.
Really?
And got to kind of see the boundaries of it. And I said, thank you. We left, and I made an offer. A few days later, they accepted it. We ended up purchasing the property. It was, the original purchase was 215 acres.
It's incredible.
And now it has grown to 500 acres.
500 acres.
Yes.
It's incredible.
And so there's lots of, mountain land, there's some flat land there too. Yeah. But when I bought it, I had no idea. I just wanted property. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of heavy equipment that I'd used for developing in South Huntsville. I retired all the equipment to the property. We no longer self-performed any of our site work. We had site contractors that we subbed that out to. And so I'm going to retire this equipment to the property, and I'm going to come out here in the afternoons and weekends and have a ball. Yeah. And I just started cutting roads into the property, especially in the winter when I could see kind of how the mountain laid. Yeah. And it kind of grew from there. And then I was an RA teacher. If you know anything about the Baptist Church, on Wednesday nights, there's a program called RAs. That's Royal Ambassadors. That's where we teach middle school boys about missionaries and about camp skills, kind of like a faith-based Boy Scouts program. And so on the weekends, or I would sometimes bring the boys out there and we'd camp. And then I built the first building, and then our church wanted to come out and do a picnic there. And then other churches heard about it, and there wasn't much there, but they were still attracted to the place. I said, this is not much here. I don't know why people are coming. But as a result of that, I realized there's a need in North Alabama for a camp. Mm-hmm. And so we kept developing, kept growing. And we didn't have a name. For years, there was never a name. It was just, the land.
The land.
And then I kind of, my parents had helped financially with a lot of the stuff we were doing on the front end. And I wanted them to have a part in that. And I told Sonia, I said, I really want them to name this camp. Mm-hmm. But the names they were coming up with was like, Riverside Retreat, and just stuff that was like, no. And then one Sunday morning after church, my wife, my mom looked at me and said, son, come here. And so I walked down to her, and she said, why don't you call it The Vision? And my immediate thought was, nobody's ever thought of that before. But when I thought about it, I thought, well, that's really what it is. Uh-huh. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm waking up at night with ideas. Yeah. These could be called visions. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I don't care if it's cliche or not. That's what it is. It's the vision. And so that's what we named it. And I'm so grateful because my parents had a part in that. Yeah. My dad passed away in 2019, Christmas Eve, before the COVID was underway. And my mom, who we
He didn't have to see it. He didn't have to see 2020.
That's it. He didn't have to go through all that, right? And he was such an encourager through all this developing of that property. And my mom, who's still alive, she'll be 102 in October.
Are you kidding me?
In the house she raised us in. So we still are seeing her every night, checking on her. But
yeah,
I'm grateful that it worked out, that they actually got to name the property. And so that's how it's got its name. The growth, we've tried to focus on what does the public want? What does leadership want when they come out to that camp? What are the things they need? And that's kind of where we've had our focus.
Yeah.
And so and it wasn't always that way. A lot of times I wanted to build things that I wanted. And then when I get finished with them, it was like, well, this isn't at all what we need, Dad. That was my oldest daughter is our administrator, and she's very good about telling me what we need and what we don't need.
That's good. That's good.
She talks to the people that come in.
Yeah.
She meets with them. She does the tours. And so she's helped guide me in the right direction. But one of the neat things, Joel, about this camp is once we decided, okay, this is not just a place for us to escape on the weekends. This is going to be a real camp. This is a place where people can come. A host type camp. Once we realized that, then we knew we were going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so, but in saying that, my contracting company started to grow exponentially. And it allowed me to move more funds into growing that camp as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I look back, everything that's at the camp we have no debt. It's a debt-free program, and we plan to keep it that way. And we've been able, and God's been able to has blessed, and we continue to have the funds we need to do what we need. So,
yeah, and it's a substantial thing now. You guys are filling up the camp almost every weekend in the summer, right? Or the entire summer?
Really, the entire year.
Wow.
I mean, for instance, we're in our early part of February, and we have two different camp areas. We have Legacy Camp, which is more of a bunkhouse style camp. And then we have the Lodge, which is more polished, more
very
like hotel.
Polished. Okay, he's saying polished. This is where I have to interrupt, because this is like, again, you went to Colorado and you took a ski lodge and you put it in northern Alabama. And you go in, and then I walked in those rooms, and you have like kind of some family style rooms. It's got like a king bed or something with a couple of twins in the other room or something. So there you have these multi configurations, but it's basically like a lodge style hotel is the way that you built that section, and then you have there's like a connected piece within almost like a dormitory style next to the main lodge, right? And
That's right.
Yeah, and so you've got these really amazing sleeping setups in the lodge area, and I mean it's just cool. But how many people can sleep in that lodge space?
Well, we can sleep 75 if everybody likes each other. That means because we have some king beds, and then some of the bunks. Everybody runs to the bunks because they have their own space.
Okay, so
I always say if everybody likes each other, because men aren't going to share a king bed. Now, some of our women's groups don't have a problem with that. But yeah, we can
share a king bed with you.
All right. So, as long as we had a piece of plywood or something between us, right? No, but so we can sleep 75 there, and it books really almost every weekend.
That's amazing.
This weekend we have 75 there, and we have 100 up at the other camp.
Okay. So the property can handle hundreds of people. You guys have taken, painstakingly over time built the longest consecutive zip line course in the state of Alabama.
Well, in North Alabama.
Right? In North Alabama. Okay.
So we have a 10 zip line system.
And how long is it?
It's the longest one's 1,100 feet.
But in total, isn't it
the total,
miles?
It kind of, I don't know what it is in miles, Joel. Okay. I've never figured that out. I know that if you take a group of, say, 12, which is about the maximum group that we'll take through it, it's about a 3-hour tour.
Yeah, okay.
So, and we love our zip line. We love all of our activities, since you brought up activities.
Yeah.
Our activities are focused on, since we're a host camp, we don't do any teaching. So the leadership that brings their groups, who are our heroes, leaderships are our heroes. They do the teaching. They put their plan together, but they have a lot of free time, and they sign up with us for activities during that free time. Yeah. So when you mentioned zip line, we have like on zip line number 10, the last zip, when you're coming home, your last one, it's the longest, most exciting. They have to navigate across a swinging log.
Yeah.
And this swinging log has a narrow gate on it. And the purpose of the narrow gate is to keep people just that are in the woods from trying to walk across and get on the zip somehow.
Okay.
So you have to lock out your zip when nobody's using it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're able to have a teaching story there on zip number 10 about the narrow gate and what Jesus says about it. And it's different each time depending on what group we have.
Yeah.
But if it's archery, then we're talking about missing the mark and how we've all missed the mark, right? If it's our tomahawks, it's burying the hatchet.
Yeah.
The power of forgiveness.
Yeah.
When we can learn to forgive others.
Yeah.
What it takes, what the burden it takes off of us.
It's incredible.
And so our staff is trained to take groups through those activities, and we always have a faith-based teaching element, a biblical-based teaching element to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking there's just some extraordinary points in this story, and you're a man that always surprises me. But you get a vision for a camp while you're working in the preschool at church. The nursery, right? And I'm just thinking, you know, how many business owners are sitting around thinking I should probably volunteer for the nursery?
Well, I'm not doing that Sunday anymore, Joel.
but then the Lord speaks to you. So you're putting together, you know, like you're kind of like, well, how do I hear a vision for my own life? You know, like you go work in the nursery, and
that's it. It starts in the nursery.
But it starts. What a special. I mean, again, I love the surprises within that. But then as you build, I heard something. Or was reminded of a phrase that has captivated me in the past, and that is, and recently I remembered this, and it goes like this: we often overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years, and we will underestimate what the Lord wants to do with the next 20. And when you share this vision, you know, of this camp, or you're in a nursery 1 year, and you start, you know, putting some of your funds off to the side to buy a piece of property in 2004, and then to start to map it out and lay some roads, and then to start seeing this house and this building erected, and it shapes into something, and the vision starts to become a reality. And then I show up, you know, a few years ago, and I go, oh my word, look at this thing. And then I call you the other day and I go, how you been doing? You go, well, I'm doing really good. We're about to finish our 20,000 square foot, building. I'm like, you have a 20,000 square foot building. And it's just little by little by little, you have a camp where people are hearing about the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yes, yes.
Not just one weekend in a summer, but filled to the brim throughout the entire year. You are thinking about the leadership and how you can serve them and empower them. Once a week or 1 week, you have taken and isolated to your own camp that you guys have curated and done for how many years now?
This year, Joel, will be 20 years.
20 years.
Yes.
And you focus that on the Bible, and you invite kids, even kids who cannot afford to go and have a summer camp experience.
Yes, yes. And you're talking about recreation camp. Yes. So I mentioned earlier that we are a host camp.
Exactly.
And
but you do one week a year. You do it, right?
Yes, yes. And it started with about 30 kids. And what started it was the last week before kids go back to school, a lot of the daycares close.
Yeah.
They take that last week off. And now you got parents who both work. Well, what are they going to do with their kids? And so we thought, let's open up a program where parents can drop their kids off and kids can experience camp.
Yeah.
And, you know, with being a host camp, the groups that come typically are faith-based groups. And those are kids that go to church, right? If they don't go to church, then they're not going to get an opportunity to go to camp.
Yeah.
Because unless a friend from a church invites them to go with them to camp. And so you got all these kids, and I think there's a lot of parents that aren't in church that would love for the kids to go to camp.
Yeah.
And so we opened that up for that reason, and we set it up where parents come. They drop the kids off on a Wednesday or Monday morning for recreation camp. It's a 3-day camp.
Yeah.
And they're there all day. And they go through all of our activities. They bring a sack lunch with them.
Yeah.
We meet together with the whole group in the morning, and then they gather again in the afternoon, and then the parents come back through the camp and pick their kids up, kind of like dropping them off at school. And during that time, we have a theme. This year, I can't even remember what it was this year. We have a theme each year, and we follow that theme throughout the week. We have adult shepherds that are assigned 12 kids each. So the camp can only be as large as the number of shepherds we have to volunteer.
Yeah.
And so this year we had 180 kids.
That's awesome.
Go through there.
Awesome.
And so, that camp has grown, and we've seen kids, and it's only for 1st through 6th grade. So when the kids graduate from the program, they have the opportunity to be junior shepherds. So they can come back the next year and work with a shepherd with a group of kids.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't want to leave camp. They want to keep coming.
That's awesome.
There's just something special, Joel, about camp.
There is something special. That's actually my story at 17 years old is pivotal for me when I went to a summer camp in northern Washington State.
Wow.
Yeah. It's called Furwood, and I'll never forget it. And so I wanted to go back. And after being a camper between my junior and senior year in high school, I wanted to go back and be a camp counselor. And so I went back 2 years later and did that.
Neat.
And it was a really, really special place.
Well, I accepted Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, as a 12-year-old boy at camp.
Yeah.
There's just something, and yet there's just something about, one of the neat thing about leadership too at these camps that I'm amazed, they take their phones from them. It's just, and some of them name their camp. The theme for the week is detox.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And these kids are not like rebellious about it. It's like, okay, sure. Like
it's also novel, right?
I'll pick up Friday. I can do this. And it's neat because these kids, they interact with each other.
Yeah.
They look at each other in the eye. They learn things that, they're not looking down all week. They're looking up.
Yeah.
So it's great.
That's awesome.
So, and I'll say it again and again during our time here is our leadership. And I'm not talking about my staff, who I love to death and do a great job. I'm talking about leadership in different organizations that sign up to use our facility. The work they do to sign up sheets, everything else, the stress that's on them to put together a group and a program. They're our heroes. And I tell you, it doesn't matter what denomination. They're putting their students at the foot of the cross.
Yeah.
They're teaching them about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And these kids are changed.
Yeah.
And there's stories every week.
Yeah.
Just awesome stories. And we have a pool there. And even last weekend, Joel, in our men's encounter that was there, we had a man accept Christ and he wanted to be baptized. We don't have a baptistry. He went down and he got in the pool. Last weekend. So
what does that had to be like in the 40s?
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't even want to stand by the pool.
My goodness. Yeah.
And two brothers went in, walked him into the pool, and
incredible.
And he was baptized.
Incredible.
I asked him, I said, how'd you do that? He says, it didn't bother me. I didn't even feel it. I didn't even feel the cold.
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to be baptized immediately.
I love it.
So those are just and there's so many stories like that. But
man,
where God's just doing so much.
You have tilled a garden and you get to sit back and watch
exactly
the plants and the life and the fruit grow.
And I'm the guy below deck. Okay. Yes. I'm the guy in the engine room.
Yes.
I don't, I'm not standing in front of people teaching, and I'm always looking at, okay, when a group leaves, what do we need to fix, or what improvements do we need to make, or what wasn't right, or that's just the role I feel like I play there.
Yeah. And
so, but yeah, God is just doing incredible. In fact, I tell people this, and I'll repeat it. That land was preordained for His purpose, and it didn't matter whether I was going to be obedient or not. I didn't even know I was being obedient. I just wanted to buy land.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea. But He had it set. He had it set aside for this purpose.
Yeah.
And His plan is going to go on, regardless of whether we're obedient. He'll just bring somebody else that is. He's laid His plan out, and so I just think that's neat. So, and I'm just thrilled that we get to be a part of it, and see what He is doing.
Yeah. I can see it on your face.
Yeah.
And it's truly the way that you live. I mean, you're just looking for him and what he wants to do. So it's exciting. Yeah. So I can't help but ask then, if you're thinking about what advice you would give, I mean, you understand what it looks like to have a business and the battles that you have to fight to see that succeed. You now then have, you're waking up in the middle of the night or whatever it is, and you're buying land and you're doing this, but you're still running your business.
Yes.
And you're buying other businesses at the same time and having your own experiences with what that's like as well. You got your hands in a lot of different things. And I think there are these moments where in life people do that, but then one of these things just falls off a cliff, right? Like you paid too much attention to the camp and then your business just collapsed, or your business collapsed and then the camp collapses, or, like that happens to people when they get distracted. So I'm very curious, how do you manage that, or what has happened along the way to allow you to be able to do multiple things at the same time? It's
interesting when you said that. I thought about a very successful man. And I don't think Mike Reed would mind me mentioning his name, but with Reed Contracting, I got the opportunity one day to ride with him to a job, to look at a job. And I just asked Mike, I said, how did you get from there to here? I mean, he was a guy with a dump truck and, grew his company into just a huge business. And I said, how'd you get from there to here? And he said, well, Billy, he's just a kind of a country guy. He's a guy anybody would love. I said, I just surrounded myself with good people. And he didn't go on. He didn't give me a paragraph or a page of, that was it. And I have never forgotten about that. And I thought, wow, so that's what it is, finding good people. And so God's blessed me with good people. And so I have people in place at Dunlap Contracting that can run that company. I always say, if I died tomorrow, I got some key people that it would go on. And so that's a blessing in itself. And it has allowed me to have more time to play at the camp. The perfect day for me is getting on a piece of heavy equipment, pushing dirt, pushing down trees, building a brush pile, lighting it on fire. I mean, that's like my golf game.
I believe you.
So, and I get to do what I love.
Yeah.
I get to do what I love.
Well, you just mentioned something that recalls a story that we have in common here, and Kevin Dickelman got us together, and we actually did start something when the school didn't work out. We started something called Imagine Ministries.
Yes,
where Kevin, it's basically Kevin Dickelman's dream of all sorts of different things that go together with biblical archaeology and the people of Israel and the history of Israel.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
But you said he had an idea. He's an archaeologist, and he goes, well, I'd like to create a dig site, and he said, well, I've got land, right? Here's God's land just waiting to be used. And so I remember, you're describing your perfect day of being on the back on a tractor.
Yes.
So we all went out there one day and dug a 20 by 20 hole and started. And you were on the backhoe,
stuff in it.
And we just started burying stuff.
Articles.
So we started burying art. Yeah. So Kevin brought out all these things that he had made. He got some pottery places to make pottery. We broke it apart. We got all these weird trinkets that he's collected.
Coins,
all sorts of stuff. And we gridded out this entire 20 by 20 plot that was, what was it, about 4 feet deep, 5 feet deep. And we all climbed down in there, and then we'd put these artifacts and chart where these artifacts are so that kids could come and dig it up at the dig, right? Yeah. And we've always have wanted to see a little bit more done with it, but I just remember so distinctly those days, because over the next few months we ran, brought a bunch of people out, and they got to go through, and my kids got to go and dig up stuff, and then you dig it up, and then you'd have to go through the process that an archaeologist goes through, right? And that was just such a special and fun time. But I remember, your perfect day there, riding on that backhoe, that little mini excavator,
digging, that's right, digging, yes, yeah. So, and you never know once you start something like that. Okay, Lord, is this going to go anywhere?
Yeah.
And it really hasn't yet. But sometimes I tell people, sometimes you just have to throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yep. That's right.
And a lot of times that's successful, and a lot of times it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was a fun day, one way or another.
Exactly.
We did have some good weeks out there.
We did.
In the sunshine there, digging those holes. So
that was a real growing time for me, and I'm grateful that you and I got to have that time together. So we got to figure out something else to do together.
We got to do something.
Right.
We got to go have some more fun. There's more fun to be had.
Exactly.
So tell us now, if you don't mind, tell us one of the failures that you remember that was just like in business, in the camp. One of those things where you just go, oh my word, what just happened to me? You know, and I don't know, just share something like that, because those are exciting stories to hear as well when we don't have to go through them ourselves.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'll tell you one. I remodeled our first building. It was a pavilion, and I enclosed it so that groups could have their programs in the winter months.
Yeah,
and I had a fireplace in it.
Yeah,
and just so they could kind of keep warm, because it was kind of an indoor-outdoor kind of thing. And I had a women's group there, and it was at the same time that my stepson was getting married, and he was getting married in the lodge, which is a half mile from the camp. Okay. They're about a half mile apart. And this women's Bible study is going on up there. And these ladies, they've got a big fire going in the fireplace. I had just remodeled the place, kind of worked on the chimney. And they don't realize it, but the fireplace, I had a chimney fire going on. And it got so hot that it melted some of the wood next to the chimney. I mean, it melted. It started charring some of the wood next to the chimney so much that the entire attic of this building was fully involved in flame. And these women didn't know it, but they finally started hearing it, seeing it, and they got out of the building. The other part of this story is I'm building this new building that you talked about, this 20,000 square foot building you talked about. I had I'd hired a guy with a rock hammer, and so he is banging away at rock up there at the same time these women are here. I didn't even know that. Preparing the pad for this new building. And in the process of that, he looks over and he sees this building on fire. And so he jumps off of his track hoe and he gets on mine, which has a bucket on it. And he walks it all the way to the back of the building, and he takes the front bucket of that track hoe and he pulls the whole chimney off of that building. And when he did, the chimney and the fireplace, like one swoop. This is a big machine. And when he did, he really pulled the fire out of the building.
Unbelievable.
But by this time, I think Huntsville and Owens Crossroads and New Hope, every fire department there was, they're running to the scene.
They're on the way.
And so we just finished the wedding. I'm still in my suit.
You're kidding me.
And someone says, you got a fire up at the camp. I'm going, oh no. So I drive up there. When I get up there, it looks like Christmas. There's so many flashing lights going off up there. And of course they're showering down that building and putting the fire out. Yeah. And so, we lost a portion of the pavilion that day. Yeah. And what's the failure to that? I think in the process of remodeling, I just failed to build the chimney back correctly. Yeah. And as a result, we had to rebuild that building. Wow. But the other interesting part of that's really a miracle is this guy, Philip King, who was up there on his machine. Uh-huh. This was on a Saturday, but he thought it was Friday. Mm-hmm. He had his days mixed up. He said, I would have never come up there and worked
just
on
so
Saturday.
Just so you could be there just at the right time.
Yeah.
Huh. And he had the presence of mind to take a machine over
and pull and just rip the whole fireplace, the chimney, everything away from the building, and it pulled the source of the fire away from the building.
It makes sense, but it's so hard to imagine that you would understand that would be that's the source of the fire, and if I just take this away, then the whole thing's going to be fine.
Rather than just wait for the fire department, right? Which then it would have been a total loss for that stuff. So I don't know if that counts as a failure.
My gosh! You think, okay, all right, so but this is fun listening to you. I don't know if that one counts. Is that a good enough story there, Joel? But I think about it. I go, that's what life throws at you, right? right? You know,
Yeah,
all of a
it is.
sudden you're at whose wedding was it again?
It was my stepson's.
It's your
Right.
you're at your stepson's wedding.
Yeah, which
and
is a
the
day.
and the building catches on fire.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
In the middle of it.
Yeah.
So
it's
Yeah.
like, and I'm picturing these ladies standing in there. Had they already evacuated when he pulled the thing down,
Yes,
or were they
they were.
standing in the room and then then all of a sudden the fireplace just disappeared?
well, they're still in their Bible study in there, and they're hearing this popping and cracking. They're just thinking,
yeah.
"Oh, this is great, nice aesthetic sound," you know.
Right. Yeah.
But it was popping and cracking in the attic over their head. It's like,
That's
okay.
ridiculous.
So anyway,
Well-
it was neat, and I mean, God provided even with that.
Yeah.
We had tons of people come out and help us clean up and,
That's
and
awesome.
get it ready, and we were able to get the building back together because we still have groups coming every weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we hardly missed a beat with that fire.
That's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's extraordinary. I mean, I think thank you for sharing that story, being willing to.
If failures come to mind while we're talking, I'll bring them up.
There you go.
Because I'm
There you
sure
go.
there are others.
Well, that's good stuff. Well, Billy, I'm just thinking about whatever, other things on my mind. You got anything that's come up in your mind, like some story you feel that's kind of been percolating that you want to share before we wrap up?
I just think I said I would say this again, and I'm going to say it again. The groups that sign up and come out, the leadership, they're our heroes.
Mm-hmm.
They are committed to what God's called them to do in the church, and they're gathering their people together and bringing them out in a camp setting and putting together a program and teaching. And so I think that's just grateful for that. I think the other thing is I can't say enough about our staff. We have a staff that we have a director and an activities director, administrator, people doing the bookkeeping, maintenance, all the different elements that go on there.
Mm-hmm.
And, for them, it's kind of like rinse and repeat. You got a group moving out, you got to get it ready for another group coming in. And so I want to just put a word out and just a gratefulness for our staff and what they do week in and week out to keep the place together and ready for the next group that comes. Yeah. And I just think it's a real miracle to watch how God continues to bless and bring more and more groups out to the camp.
Love it.
And I know you mentioned that we're loaded year round, and of course in the off season it's every weekend. The weekdays we have time to turn the camp over and get it ready for the next group that comes in. Yeah. So I think it's just hopeful expectation. Okay, Lord, what are you going to do next? Yeah. We get this new building finished, and it's going to change everything. The new building's going to add another 100, a capability of another 100 beds to the camp. So
it's amazing. Love it. Well, I know my last question for you then is, what would you say to a business owner that similar to you, maybe they've tasted a little bit of success in their business, but they feel like there's something brewing in their heart, something that's not just another business move for the sake of profit, something that may be a dream to help others, a legacy type of a deal in their life that's maybe even just a thought or an idea, like the flame of a candle that could be just blown out and never thought of again. What would you say to a person like that?
I'd say first, be obedient. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, well, what do you mean? Well, be obedient. And I think obedience has to do with what's your prayer life like? Mm-hmm. What's your alone time? Jesus spent a lot of time in his ministry alone. And then what's God telling you? If you're in his word, he's talking to you. He's telling you. Just listen and pray. And when the opportunity comes along and you feel that, hey, this I think this is a God thing, pursue it. Mm-hmm. And still in keeping with still what you're doing and the work you're doing, if you ask, you will receive. Yeah. God will answer. Wow. And so I would just say that, and this camp thing, I feel like I kind of backed into it, but I really feel like it was what God had designed me to do, because it went hand in hand with construction, with what I love to do. Yeah. So and I know a lot of times I think we get the idea, Joel, that if we're doing God's will, it's a struggle and it's a pain and it's opposite of what we want to do. And I don't think that's who God is. I think he knows us better than we know ourselves. Mm-hmm. He knows our unique skill sets, and he wants to grow those. And so I think for me, it was learning, even at a young age, that I can't do this college thing. You've designed me for something else. You've designed me to work with my hands. And so I think the day you recognize who you are and the unique abilities that you have, and then you focus on that, God's going to open up he's already laid out a template for how he's going to use that. And so, and the way he communicates is through his word. So if you listen to his word, read his word, listen to his still small voice, he's going to connect all the dots.
Yeah.
In his time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Well, I look forward to hearing more stories over the years, because I know you're not finishing up. You're just getting started, because that's how you live. And so
I'll keep you posted. And yes. And let's figure out what we're going to do next, Joel.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. I appreciate you, Billy. Thank you for speaking to our audience and all the wisdom that you've been willing to give today.
Well, I'm grateful for you, Joel.
Precious.
Thank you. I'm just grateful for this opportunity.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right, guys.
If this episode sparked something in you, please subscribe and even share it with someone who's ready to take their life to the next level. We're always on the hunt for men who are looking to become untamed and release their untamed potential. Also, if you found value in this conversation, then please rate the podcast and leave a comment. It makes a huge impact in building our community. We'll see you next time when the adventure continues, or maybe when yours begins.